Do you wish you could get virtual attendees to turn their cameras on? Is engagement the number one issue on your virtual meetings? Do you want your meeting to be the most engaging virtual meeting? Well, welcome to the Engaging Virtual Meetings podcast. In this podcast, we'll talk to the top people around the world in virtual meetings and give you, the listener, the best ideas to host engaging virtual meetings. Make sure that you click subscribe so you can get the latest episode of the Engaging Virtual Meetings podcast. Now, let's welcome your host, the author of the #1 Amazon hot new release, Engaging Virtual Meetings, John Chen. All right, welcome. This is John Chen with the Engaging Virtual Meetings podcast. And I'm back from vacation. I took an amazing cruise with my friends from the Presentation Summit, and we got a chance to leave from Orlando, go to Jamaica, the Cayman Islands, and the Dominican Republic. And I think I didn't actually touch my computer for a week. And I also had a Wi-Fi package that didn't allow me to have any virtual meetings. So that's one of the ways that if you really want to a mental health break, that's one of the ways to do it. All right. So, hey, if you're watching live here on social media, do me a favor, hit the subscribe, share, and like if you are there. And today's guest, I'm excited to have today's guest. She's a keynote speaker, consultant, and entrepreneur. She's a member of NSA Kentucky, and also a member of professional photographers of America. She's also been Ohio Teacher of the Year and inducted into National Teacher Hall of Fame. Please welcome to the show, Leila Kubesch. Hey, Leila, how are you doing?
I'm great and grateful.
Great and grateful. Now, let's see. Now, this appears to be a key phrase from you. Why is this phrase so important to you, Leila?
I am very grateful. When I began teaching, I almost left the profession because my administrator let me know in that spring that there would be no budget for the rest of the year or in the future. And I loved my students, and I realized I can't leave to another district and leave them. And I have felt profoundly grateful every day.
Aww. Well, grateful. There is science behind grateful. One of my practices in the day is to every morning wake up and write down 10 things that I'm grateful for every day. And I'm grateful to have you on the show today. Why don't I do a favor, Leila, for my friends who don't know you, take a moment to introduce yourself, who you are, and what you do.
I am Leila Kubesch, a speaker and trainer. I work with educators and leaders to bring innovative methods and technology from the classroom to the boardroom. I work in the education space, HR, and corporate. I love making education more exciting and accessible for everyone, regardless of budget constraints. I believe when we are inspired to pursue something big, nothing can stop us. I focus on the 3 C's: how to communicate, connect, and collaborate to mobilize communities, gain a buy-in, and ensure full engagement, helping people from diverse backgrounds learn from and understand each other better. Aside of teaching and speaking, I'm the founder and executive director of Parents to Partners. It's a nonprofit organization. It aims to empower vulnerable families to engage in the children's education and connect with their children's schools, at the same time helping educators better understand the diverse families that they serve.
Outstanding. Leila, you sound like a classic underachiever. Like you don't have enough hobbies, causes, purposes, and other things. So what's one of the ways that you got that way? Like you feel like you always need to contribute or make a difference?
I discovered that being angry does not solve anything. A few years ago, I discovered that my high school students were not coming back because they age out of the foster care system and they become homeless. And I think I lost it. I was very upset, and I made the mistake to tell my principal, why are we not informed of this? And that, oh, I know, maybe my Child Protective Services don't know about this. And I went and they stood me up. And I cried. I was upset. And I remember saying, why is it nobody ever listens to teachers? We have no voice. And after that meeting, I took the stairs because I was too embarrassed to take the elevator. I thought I was going to burst into tears.
Hmm.
And I looked down and I thought, this is so arduous. How am I going to get down? And I realized I'm coming down. I'm not going up. And I said, they will hear from me. And I ran downstairs, got into the car. Don't even remember how I got home. I sat at my desk and I found on Eventbrite TEDx Cincinnati. And I thought, I probably have greater chance of being hit by lightning than winning this audition. And I said, no, no, no. I know the impact of my words when I was coming down. And so I applied and then I won first place. And I used
Wow.
that to get House Bill 50 in the state of Ohio to change, allowing the foster youth to have extension from age 18 to age 21 so that they can finish. Of course, it wasn't a one person. It's mobilizing communities, creating awareness, letting people know the challenges of what children face. And now I found that having an attitude of gratitude, looking at what we have instead of what we don't. I have a community, I have students, I have a classroom, instead of what I don't have. Well, English is not my first language, or I'm a teacher, nobody's going to listen to me. And by looking at the positive, I walk into my building in the morning, and we are a very high need community, school district. And I feel I am very rich, well, rich in spirit. And that's enough to do whatever it is you want to do.
Well, amazing, amazing story. Amazing to make a difference and use multiple avenues, I think, to solve a problem. How did you get into teaching English as a second language? And what's one of the benefits maybe that you've seen with one of your students?
When I came to the US, I was 17. I did not speak a word of English.
Hmm.
I went to Shawnee Mission High School in Kansas, and my teachers were profoundly kind, kindness I have never experienced before. When I finished college, I wanted to go into education, but I didn't have the confidence. I didn't think I would be good enough. I went to the airline industry. I thought, how else can I speak different languages all day and not let people think about my English not being great? And after working for several years, I went back to college, get a second master's degree in
Wow.
education. And I taught and loved it ever since.
Hmm. Amazing. So let's see, now how many years have you been teaching? I don't know. Oh,
26 years.
26.
Yes.
And I know it's tough. It's 26 years, but if you had to share maybe one of your top lessons from 26 years of teaching, what's one thing that you could tell people about being a more effective teacher?
In my first year of teaching, it was after lunch. I got to the classroom. My classroom was packed, had 36 kids.
Hmm.
And I saw Brad at the end of the classroom with a yardstick behind his friend and about to hit him. And I said, Brad, don't even think about it. And he hit the kid and he goes, sorry, I already thought about it. And everybody fell to the ground laughing hard, including the victim. And what I learned at that moment is my communication. Don't repeat random words and random saying. What you say matters. And I think that was really an important lesson. And another one is I realized I assumed so much. We had one day the principal let us know that the next day it's going to be the coldest day. And the students go, can we please go outside? I'm like, no. Well, I ended up bringing hot chocolate. We went outside, and one of the kids, I saw him making this, like with his hand, packing the snowball and looking at me. And I looked at it and I said, if you hit me with that snowball, I will see you after school. Of course, he hit me. And I says, well, and he came at the end of that day. And I said, no, you get 24 hours. He goes, no, I thought about it yesterday. Okay. And he cleaned the classroom, wiped the desks, washed the blackboard, mopped the floor. I'm like, you can go. And he wouldn't finish. No, I need to erase the board. I need to sharpen the pencils. You can go. And I thought, by now, 90 minutes, I felt like I am the one detained. I was taking graduate school classes at Purdue University. Like, I'm not going to make this class. And then at the end, he says, would you hook me up with a ride? I'm like, I don't know what hooked me up, but yes, I will take it. I was so happy that he was willing to leave. And we reached this house it's a huge house with a metal fence. Like, wow, you live here? And he goes, yeah. I turned around and there was this huge sign that says, carry home for the orphans. And I realized at that moment that kids crave connection and will do it at anything, even if it comes at consequences. And that is when I decided that I'm going to stay in education. That was a huge lesson to not assume that kids want to do bad things because they're bad. And I thought, why didn't he ask me to stay after school? And I realized because they don't have the communication skills. And that's my keynote called The Art of the Ask, How to Enlist Support from a Position of Partnership. It was in
Well,
eighth grade.
genius. I just trained the NACE, the National Association of Catering and Events, all their chapter leaders about the ask. I don't know if you've ever read Chris Matthews' book Hardball. He writes about the ask, and it's been a political tool that politicians have been using for hundreds of years, and that the ask is something that's really, really, really important. Leila, I love your words about being kind too. Do you mind if I share a story about being kind?
Sure.
So I was recently on this cruise ship and they have lots of shows. They have a show every night after dinner, and we had a group that just really wanted to sit in the front. So I went up to the front, and sometimes people were all over doing stuff. So we would save some seats. So we would save some seats, and this guy comes in and he of course starts muttering under his breath how unhappy he is that I saved a bunch of seats for people who aren't there. And he was outright to call me selfish about it. And, and I was like, oh, really? All right. There's no rules really about saving seats on that ship anyways. There are sorts of other parts. And I said, well, I don't think I'm being selfish for my friends. So anyways, I took this whole part and I thought it was, he was kind of being a grumpy male at that point. And I decided to do something else. So at the next show, he showed up and two of my friends didn't, I saved seats. He was unhappy again. And but two of them called in and said, "Oh, we're actually going to go to bed. We're not going to go to the show." And I said, so I introduced myself to him and I said, my friends aren't saying, would you like to come over and have these two seats? And he goes, yes, I would. And so we actually met him, and let's just say his name is Fred. That's not his real name, but his name's Fred. And it turned out why he wanted the front seats. He was from New York. And out of all the things on a cruise ship, he loved the shows the most out of anything, out of the food, out of the pools, out of like, the destinations that we go at. It turns out he loved the shows the most. And I thought that by extending this hand of kindness when he wasn't kind was the one thing that allowed him. I hope that he got the message that saying that lots of other different results could have happened had he started with kindness. And then the second part is when do we offer kindness when other people don't? I don't know if you have any other stories around kindness that are like that, Layla.
Every day.
Yeah,
Every day. Teaching students, with children. My second year of teaching, there was an article back then, the newspaper on Sunday is always in color. And there was a
mm-hmm.
story about a kid who raised money to help a homeless kid and then had some money and donated it to the cat shelter. And all my students came in, is there anything we can do? I wasn't so sure. And I said, well, I don't know. Well, what should you do? We read a book called The Bracelet. It's about the Japanese American internment.
Mm.
And they said, is this true? And I says, yes, it is. And then we read the story about the baseball saved us. And they wanted to do something big. And that was inspired by this article in the newspaper. and they wanted to convert the school courtyard into a Japanese Zen garden. And I happened that year, we have Subaru Isuzu. I got to go to Japan as an educator ambassador. I told them
Oh,
that my students wanted to do. And my host father, every day, he would take me at 4 o'clock in the morning to look at Japanese gardens. Well, I was having the jet lag, and after the jet lag ended, I wanted to sleep in, but I wanted to honor him, and I would go to these gardens. We take these photos, with this little film, and I showed them my students, and they had this huge idea. They even wanted to have this Zenigata basin, and they wanted to have the everything that was Japanese.
hmm.
We had no money, and they did a bake sale. They did a car wash. It's like a drop in the bucket, and we spent all that money on stamps, sending letters randomly. Hey, if you are Japanese American, if you can help us, and they ended up raising $18,000.
Wow.
We created the garden, and then at the end, when we did this pond with the koi, and they realized, well, it's not going to survive the Indiana winter. And they reached out to Eli Lilly, and I thought, oh man, I hate for these kids to be turned down. And they sent us an electrician. Within 2 hours, we got the electrical outlet, and we got everything that they needed. And so and they have done something for people that they have never met. They have never met an Asian American. And they were very moved by that. And then the following year, we read the same stories, and they wanted to do something even bigger. Can we fix history? Can we correct the past? Can we make it up
Wow.
to the Japanese Americans? And
Wow.
they created this tapestry called the 120,000 tassel tapestry. And they counted the tassels for all the Japanese American who was interned during World War II. And they made it, in Japan, they have the norang, which is like this, when you go to a store and you have this curtain, well, the kanji symbol represents goodwill. And that's what they wanted the quilt to be like. And that quilt traveled, actually, the last place was Seattle before it
Oh,
went to a Japanese American museum.
oh. What an amazing story, an amazing story of kindness. I don't know if you know this, Leila, but I'm very related to Eli Lilly. My grandparents were some of the first researchers. They helped found the research division of Eli Lilly, and they helped bring Eastern medicine, figured out what worked, and turned it into Western medicine. And I just visited Eli Lilly. There's a building which is a private building that you can rent for events that my grandparents created and selected all the Chinese art that's inside of there because it turned out Eli Lilly turned into a huge Chinese art fan as his way of trying to figure out how to bridge the East to the West.
That's
So,
amazing.
yeah,
Did
so
he
I
take
actually,
photos?
yeah, so I have a full video walkthrough if you'd like, Layla.
I would love that. Which Eli Lilly? I know the one was in Indiana, was in Lafayette, Indiana.
It's next to it's near the farm that Eli Lilly also owns. Like there's a representative farm where they use the farm as a way to create like vaccines and other things like that. And the building is like less than 2 miles from that. So I can share the name of the location with you. And if you're nearby, you got to call, you got to arrange a meeting to check it out. But you can actually hold a private event there. And we're trying to see if we're going to have a family dinner there in the next 2 or 3 years. So we're trying to work that out.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, well, thank
Pretty
you.
cool.
Speaking of cool, let's see what happened too. Let's go back to March of 2020. March of 2020. Oh, yeah. So I don't know if you were teaching or not, but
I
whatever you're
was.
doing, of course, March of 2020 happened and that your life needed to move to virtual. So I'm curious, what did you do on the virtual side and what did you do to, create virtual meetings or teachings that was engaging for you?
March 2020, I was teaching, and they let us leave, and they told us it's going to be 3 weeks and then we come back. Meanwhile, we needed to do virtual teaching. And I was the 2020 Ohio Teacher of the Year. And like, oh my God, maybe if this is a crown, I'm willing to give it back now. I don't know what I'm doing. And I'm certainly not ready to lead an entire state. I was also the national teacher finalist. I'm like, okay, everybody's looking at me like I'm under a microscope. I panicked. I did not even know what Zoom was. And back then, there was all these challenges of people logging in, different people ruining meetings. It was a very scary time.
And
I learned the best way to learn is to jump right in head first. I learned, made it work.
can you share some of your early either successes or failures?
Successes that I can learn and I can teach a lesson and I can integrate other things to make it fun and interesting. Things that didn't go well, the not creating the expectation about being on on camera so you can see, not knowing at the time how to create interesting and interactive. My first week, I think it flopped. But as time goes on, I'm marveling like, wow, this is the way to do it. I get excited about it. I use Zoom almost every day, looking for new features and looking forward to more new features. So I'm actually excited about opportunity to learn from you at a retreat or a class or online.
Well, thank you for that, Leila. Yeah, even tomorrow we're going to have 16 different speakers, all Asian Pacific Islander speakers tomorrow, talking on a variety of topics. And that's tomorrow, as well as March 15th. What's coming up? Oh, we have 15 of our National Speakers Association Northwest members in a speaker showcase, and you can actually attend that virtually, and you'll actually see one of our hybrids, and we'll show you how engaging our hybrids are, no matter where you are inside of the world. What's one of the first things that you picked up? All right, that was your success, whether it was a technique or something that just worked with the students, a piece of technology.
Integrating other technologies along with, well, once you create the expectations, definitely planning. You never wake up in the morning and say, well, today I overplanned or I overspoken, communicated effectively. A lot of time, I think the planning is not so much for the attendees, but for us to make sure it is seamless. And that what I found was very effective in virtual teaching. And looking for ways to create, such as the pairing students, having smaller group, having a group of 40 or 50, that's not manageable for first time presenters online unless you think of ways, how can I bring everybody in? How can I share the agenda, teaching them to communicate with each other, certainly how to be respectful, how to take turns. And that what I found was very important. That what really made, to me, that was a game changer.
Say
Getting
more. Well, how did you taking turns or which one of those things?
taking turn, but having guided activities, not just take turn. For me, for example, let's say I'm teaching a foreign language
Yeah.
and I need students to have a dialogue and using the vocabulary. Well, I want them to have using, for example, write sentences with these words. And then I want you to pronounce them. And then I want you to use that in a dialogue. And then how can we make it even fun, such as using improv? Is that a possibility? I trained in improv at Second City.
Oh my
And I think
goodness.
it's fun. It's a great team building activity. And then can I do this online? Can we play this game? Can we take risks and get the kids to giggle? Once you get everybody laughing and enjoying themselves and wanting more, I think that's what really makes the lesson and the activity. I think kids like adults. They're not about just information. They want to be inspired. They want to engage. They want to have fun and finding opportunity to laugh. And that's how I do my keynotes and how we do everything. We need to have all the elements of a storytelling. They need the data. The research is to say, this is why you needed to do it this way. They need that because. And finding opportunity to apply what they have learned immediately so they can remember it. And there's that accountability. And then say, if you are struggling, don't wait too long. We can hop on a Zoom, reach out to me. You or your parents don't fret about anything for so long. If you have a question, you can text me. And they taught me a lot about social media in addition to Zoom. Like, what happens if I don't have a Wi-Fi, or what can we do? Is we want to make sure that it is not like there's a relationship. You need to have a relationship even online to be able to connect with people and for them to be able to take a risk, even with children. And that to me, I found helped me immensely. And what do you do for the following year when we started the school year working with students I have not met? And some students are in masks because they are somewhere so you can't even see their faces.
Right.
Or even you see their faces and they come to the classroom and wearing masks. Like, I don't know who's who. So that is the challenge, getting to know. And I remember one time a kid said, I'm feeling dizzy. We went outside and she was having a meltdown. The fear of being in school, being with other peers.
Mhm.
How can we connect with people, whether they're wearing a mask or whether they're young or what we have not met before? How can we put their mind at ease? So maybe starting with a joke, maybe starting with some fun activities, with some kind of icebreaker to get people. It's not enough. I found that it's not enough for me to know my students well. They have to feel comfortable with each other so that they can take a risk and then they can speak up.
Have you ever read Google Aristotle's research on
No,
psychological safety?
no, I did not. I'm
Oh
writing
my goodness, Leila,
down.
you're gonna love this, right? So they did an 18-month study on the highest performing teams at Google, and they're radically different, right? Some are very structured and some are like crazy, but all of them are high performing teams. And they were trying to figure out what did they have in common. Was it the money they paid them, the equipment they gave them, even the composition of the team or the leader? And it found out it's none of those things, Leila. There's five of them, right? But the top one, number one, was psychological safety, defined as I feel safe taking a risk in front of my team. And all right, you embody that principle here and saying that that's what students need to learn. There's so much other stuff going on the outside too that if they can just find a way to feel safe inside of that classroom during that time, that's at least what I've seen too in my own personal work is that's how we get people on virtual to participate, to engage, whether they're going to say something, they're going to chat something, or eventually turn on their camera. And it's not really the goal for that. The goal is really for them to be part of that class and for them to feel safe, whatever level they feel safe at. And that's where all the real things happen. That's where all the magic happens. That's when they start to engage. They really start to get something out of that class and feel like they're part of a community. So I don't know. Do you have a favorite story you like to share about a student or so? I mean, not using the student's name, but like for instance, I once had a Japanese woman who said she was never going to chat. Right? She told me before the class started, Leila, she goes like, "Oh, Mr. Chen, I just want to let you know I'm here. I'm not going to chat or anything, but I just wanted to just let you know that I am being part of the class." I'm like, "Okay, that's fine." And not 10 minutes later into the class, she starts chatting. 10 minutes later, right, she starts talking. And by the end of the class, we did this poem exercise where you write a poem with 8 different people on a Google, shared doc. And she wrote 75% of the lines. And I asked her why, and she said, it's because poetry is my jam. I'm very passionate around poetry. And so I found the right modality for her. When she declared at the beginning, she said she wasn't going to do nothing. And then in the end, she ended up being the most engaged and active person in the class. I'm just curious, Leila, if you have any story of like that, of somebody who really either came out of the shell or really surprised you about who they were.
I had a ninth grader stayed after class and said, I really wished we still have home ec. My parents told me about this class years ago called home ec where they learn how to cook. And he said, I wish I knew how. So I said, all right, I have an idea. I stopped by his house and gave him a box of brownie and oil. And I said, tomorrow we can do this on Zoom. It was a Friday. And I said, on Saturday morning, and other kids go, I want to do this. I want to do this. Like, all right, well, we'll do this on Zoom. Well, I will teach you how to cook. We'll do Saturday morning cooking class. And then some of the kids, well, some forgot to log in. Another kid said, well, I don't have eggs. My dad ate them for breakfast. Another kid said, do we need to have something to bake it on? Like, wow, we're not using Tupperware to put it on the oven. So when I went back to school, I asked the cafeteria and I said, can we use your cafeteria so we can do a cooking class? And they said, yes, you're very welcome to do this, but we want to make sure that you use this cooking class to promote cafeteria food. I'm like, no, it wasn't what I wanted. I want the kids to make what they wanted. Okay, so that flopped. So Zoom idea flopped, the cafeteria flopped. What am I going to do? So I asked the school and they say, well, there's a special needs room. We're not using it. It's a disaster. You can use it. I buy the food and then I would stay after school. And the kids first time we did this, it took three kids, 45 minutes to peel potatoes. And there was a stove, but after an hour and a half, the chicken would not, it cooked, it was brownie, but there was this pink liquid. Now I'm vegetarian, but I can tell if there's pink liquid, that is not normal. So I was panicking, take the food. And so we called this cooking show, we called a Chow and Tell, the cooking show for teens. And we invited the local cable television to air the show so that more kids can learn and they can see the recipes. But for the kids, they take it home and help the parents out. And I reached out to an organization and I says, is there a way we can have an oven arranged because I shared the story? And they said, sure. So within 3 days, we got this installed. Turns out the one we had in the classroom and the special needs room was not working very well. It wouldn't get heated high enough. And after doing 20 episodes, I realized I'm at the building at 6. I'm wearing a mask, teaching 7 classes. At the end of the day, I need to start over. I'm cooking, helping the kids wash the dishes and taking the meal. I'm exhausted. And that's when I started with the art of the ask. Can I get community members to come in and do this? And I found it was phenomenal. Like one person drove, the 2021 Teacher of the Year drove 14 hours to come and be with my school, my students. Wow. The superintendent of public instruction wouldn't respond. And I realized, why is he not responding? Well, there was a ban for people to cut from politician. I'm like, this isn't fair. I have to go to school in person. So I reached out to him on Twitter, and that's how I got into social media. For 1 year, I had 1 follower on LinkedIn. I thought, this is so embarrassing. I am deleting this. But then I thought, let me try something else. Now I have about 20,000 followers, but that's how I would go and connect with people. I'm like, oh, social media is for us to be social, not to post and ghost. And that's how I learned. And I would reach out to people I have never met. And I say, would you be willing? And I would share the 7 steps that I would use with the art of the ask, making it reciprocal, asking one question, letting them know what the goal is. And they would come and they do the show with the students. But it started out because of 1 kid, and that program grew. And then people would say, hey, is there a way I can fund the program? Is there anything I can do? Like, no, you just need to come and share us what you want. I remember the mayor came and I says, I'll buy all the stuff. And he goes, no, I got everything. He walks in and I said, this guy is waltzing in with a box of pancake mix and chocolate chip. Oh my God, I don't have eggs. I don't have milk. What am I going to do? And the camera's going to be rolling. And it turns out there's actually boxes of pancake mix. All you need is add water. So even I was learning from community leaders, and the kids had a great time because the camera, is rolling the entire time. And it became where they would ask questions like, your education, tell us a story. What made you go into politics? What made you do this? So it became a connection between the students and these community leaders. And I
Hmm.
thought, I don't have to do everything. I can delegate.
Yeah, a lot of times I look to be the catalyst to start something and not be the operator. I'm currently, for instance, serving as the president of the National Speakers Association's Northwest chapter, and we really have three amazing volunteers working on three big programs right now. And I, could not do that if I did it all myself. It would be nearly impossible. So I think that's a great lesson. The other thing that we have, Leila, is one of our classes that we teach something, principle called "There is always a way." There is always a way. So, like here on virtual, right, you don't have to participate in the way that we think you should. We can find a way for you to participate. I talked with a lot of rural people, and of course, bandwidth and connection is like number one issue. And often that them calling in by phone to the meeting is one of the best ways that they can participate. And just saying there's a different way. If you look through all the different ways and have this attitude of that there's always a way, then at least that person says, "Oh, I feel included," right? I at least know that somebody's attempting to work with me to try and find a way to be included. Leila, you've seen a lot in your lifetime, and you probably hopefully have the ability here to see some of the future. What is in Leila's future for virtual and hybrid? What do you think is going to happen, or what would you like to see happen in virtual and hybrid?
I think virtual meetings will become a lot more fun and feel more like we're in the same room. Technologies like virtual reality will make this experience possible. I've seen that at NSA conference from a speaker once on a stage. She did this virtual, and I found it fascinating. And I'm looking forward to seeing if that exists, if would that be available to the rest of us. I look forward to better background features that don't make parts of us disappear when we move.
Yeah.
I would love to see translation tools to help people from different countries communicate more easily. Improvements that will make virtual meetings better options for collaboration globally. Like I would love to attend meetings in different countries, even those not led in English, and be able to understand and contribute, allowing both parties to interact in real time.
So let me check this. Do have you ever seen PowerPoint's feature to do real-time interpretation? So let's see. Hold on a second. Let me just see. I'm going to put this in presenter view. I'm going to always use subtitle. Okay. Name a language. Name any other language that is not English.
French.
French. Okay. Great. So let's see. I have this here. Let's see if I can have this here. Oh, wait. And the subtitle settings are going to be below slide. Okay. We'll put it there. Okay. Let's see if I can get this right. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to show you in just a second. See if I get these subtitles to work. Oh, yeah. Here we go. All right. Here we go. And check this out. Great. Are you seeing a slide with French captions on the bottom?
Oui, yes.
So the cool part is while you and I talk now, all of these things in French should show up. So Leila, why don't you take a turn now and say 2 or 3 lines in English?
I look forward to learning about this feature.
Excellent. Oh, I might have only got it on my side then, so I'll have to check. It may be only picking up my mic. But normally, if we're in an environment where one of my we have both mics, it actually pick up both of us inside of here, and then allow you to do this. Now, here I'll show you where this feature is. This feature is in slideshow, and up here now, help me pick any other language. So you pick French, pick one more language.
I have to pick something that I speak. So either Arabic or Spanish.
You speak Arabic?
Yes.
Oh my goodness, fantastic. Okay, here we go. So now here I'm going to show the second slide. So I do some teaching of team building in Arabic. So now one of the things is it should be starting to catch up here, and now you might be able to recognize at least some of the things that I'm saying are actually showing up here in Arabic. Of course, you see it's moving from right to left instead of left to right. And so this is actually built into PowerPoint. So anytime you're presenting live, either in person or virtual, you can actually get another language here like this by adding this just to PowerPoint. And this would allow you to present. And I've actually used this in other countries as a way to connect with people. Isn't that amazing?
Phenomenal. I'll be using this every day.
So here are some of the other languages in here. Since you teach English as a second language, there's like 40 something languages, including Bosnian, Bangla, Latvian, Lithuanian, Tongan, Urdu, and Vietnamese. So
That's pretty cool. That is amazing. Now,
this,
sometimes when we have English learners, some of these students do not speak or do not read in their own language,
mhm.
but it's still an amazing feature.
It's about 92, it's gotten about 90% correct. So for instance, I presented that to an Arabic class where their English was a second language. So they could understand me in English, but they could read Arabic. And they came back and gave me feedback and said, this is about 90% correct. It was a lot better. It wasn't like the 60% correct where it's getting lots of words wrong.
Yeah, wow.
This is more like in the 90 to 95%. It can definitely aid if you have an audience but you do not have the budget to afford a real interpreter. It can be another way to increase the engagement. And a lot of times, too, people will stare at the captions with it because they're amazed to see. They just want to go back and see how accurate is it.
I think it's a great thing because even in English, there were times where I couldn't help the volume. The volume, we did yesterday a virtual, it was a hybrid meeting, and one speaker was too far and I couldn't hear it. And I thought, oh, I wish there was a caption. Let me see if I can get that to work. Or someone speaking too fast,
Yes.
or someone with a very strong English accent makes it a bit difficult to understand. And I thought that would be really the way to do it in the future.
Yes, yes, and that's why live captioners, of course, are better. They're trained, and they also ideally might know some of the speakers. They might select a captioner specifically for those types of speakers. And I find when I watch even movies nowadays that I put on captions to increase the level of understanding for myself. So, well, amazing with that. So, Leila, with that, let's what's if you could magically get people to remember one thing from this interview, what would that one thing be?
How amazing you are,
Oh, well, thank you, Leila. And
and that I you offer this training that I can't wait to learn more about. Looking forward to learning more.
well, fantastic, Leila. Yeah, stay connected. I'd love to see you. Hopefully, I'll get an invite out to NSA Kentucky. I know I'm visiting the Dallas North Texas chapter coming up next, and one of the top things that I'm showing around there too is for us speakers is I think it's recently what I've seen in the last 2 years. It is not clear for even top speakers about what to do in hybrid. Hybrid is still enough of a conundrum that people would like to know what are the best practices, and more importantly, what technology should they ask for that can really help the process. So that's one of the things that I've been up to. Leila, thanks again for your time. I look forward to staying connected together, and I hope to see one of these new features I shared with you in an upcoming program.
Thank you so much. Thank you for inviting me, and I'm very grateful for your time today.
Outstanding. All right, this is John Chen in Engaging Virtual Meetings. We've been visiting with Leila Kubesch, and she's been saying, look for the technology, and more importantly, what are you grateful for today? And so, what am I grateful for? Well, here I'm gonna share some parts here. I'm grateful for you for who are watching on social media. Make sure and subscribe, share, like, and comment if you can. If you want to see all of the podcasts, you can go to engagingvirtualmeetings.online and see over all of our episodes and a new episode every Wednesday. And if you want to learn more about this, we have the Engaging Conference. This year will be the last week of October. You can get a free ticket at engagingvirtualmeetings.com/CON. And you can also look for the paid ticket. Come to Seattle and see all the technology up front in real, in person. And the first 50 people who do register get a chance to get on stage in the evening parts and get 4-camera footage. And what's the last part? If you want to be like Leila, you too could be the next guest here on the Engaging Virtual Meetings podcast. Just go to engagingvirtualmeetings.com/meet and select interview. And we look forward to seeing you. Oh, let's see if I can do this today. I'm traveling remote. We look forward to seeing you again next time. Thanks again, and we'll see you then. This is John Chen, the author of the Amazon #1 hot new release, Engaging Virtual Meetings. I personally want to say thank you for listening to the Engaging Virtual Meetings podcast. It is my passion to help you eliminate bad virtual meetings. Make sure that you click subscribe so that you can get the latest episode of the Engaging Virtual Meetings podcast with all of the latest ideas. Hey, I want to meet you. If you want to talk about a virtual meeting challenge, or if you want to be the next guest on the Engaging Virtual Meetings podcast, just go to engagingvirtualmeetings.com/meet. That's engagingvirtualmeetings.com/meet, MEET, and find your best time to meet up. Thank you, and I look forward to engaging with you online.